Hey everyone, Yusuf here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about an important topic that frequently comes up, and this is going to be a how to customize video. So this video is dedicated to help you do this yourself, and this shouldn't take too long. Once you get a hang of it, it should really take you about 5 to 10 minutes max. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing you how to customize an area to manage and edit your dropdowns in Method CRM. So in this example, we're actually going to be looking at this custom dropdown that I created on the contacts table in Method called ContactType. So you'll see here we have accounting, HR, and operations. These are contact types that I would like to manage in the future. So how do I go about doing this? First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a screen in the same app that the dropdown is being used. So in this example, because we're using a contact type dropdown in the contacts app, we're going to go into the contacts app manage app settings, and we're going to create a screen here in the contacts app to manage that dropdown. So what we're going to call it is new/edit contact type. Okay. And then we're going to search for that table that the dropdown is based off of. Now, you should know what table that is since either you or someone else has created the table. Now, if you're not sure, the easiest way to make sure that you're choosing the right table is to actually go into that actual screen where the custom dropdown is that you'd like to manage, customize the screen, highlight the dropdown, and you'll see to your right, and let me actually zoom in a little bit, to your right is the base table. So because I highlighted this dropdown field, on the right hand side it shows base table. This is the table that the dropdown is based off of. This is what you're going to want to create your screen on. So we're going to close this. Okay. And I'm going to go back into the manage app settings. I'm going to go into my screen and I'm going to go back and I'm going to find, my screen that I just created. So new edit contact type. I'm going to click customize. And I show you a video of how to easily and quickly, just create a standard screen. And this is what you should be doing across all of your screens to make your design experience and just the overall feel and look of the platform consistent throughout. So I'm going to add 3 sections. I'm going to call this section header. Okay. I'm going to call this section footer. Okay. I'm going to call this section main. And then for each one of these sections, I'm just going to add top and bottom padding as well. It already adds left and right padding for you, but I'm going to add 1x for top and bottom. All right. And then I'm going to add a column here in the header. I'm going to add a text label to add a back button. I'm going to call this back. I'm going to click show icon, hit chevron right here, left. I'm going to go down to icon color, choose primary, okay, because we want it to look like a clickable link. And then for the back button, I'm going to add a go to screen action in the action editor and click back here as the action. Say go back. Okay. Now we're going to add another column here. In this column, I'm actually just going to set to 30% because I don't need the table to span across the entire screen. Okay. I just need it to be a little bit more condensed because we're only managing one column. Now where this would change is if you're managing a dropdown that has multiple columns in it, which is possible, then you would want to expand this column to, let's say, 50%, 80%, or just leave it as, spanning across 100% of the screen. But in this case, because it's only one column, we're just going to set it to 30%. I'm going to add an editable grid here. I'm going to call this contact types. And now, if we go to the paper icon here, you're going to see that the table is set to contact type. When you add in any grid to your screen, by default, because the screen is based off of the contact types table, the grid is also going to be based off of the contacts type table. So no need to also go in and change the table. It's automatically set based off of the table that the screen is based on. So if I click the grid builder right here, you'll see contact type is right there automatically for you. And I'm just going to change this button label to add contact type. And I'm just going to do 1. I'm not going to need to add 3 contact types at a time. Show sorting, I mean, this is all preferential. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, leave this on. I like to keep things clean and simple. So I'm going to remove this. I'm also going to hide the view selector. Okay. I'm not going to show a search bar or refresh export button just because it's only one value that we're managing. And we're not going to really need a search bar or an export button for this. All right. Now, you could add a show delete row column where you can delete a value. That's fine. But one thing to consider, if you are planning to delete values in the future because you won't need them in the dropdown, if that value was set on a record in the past, that value will no longer be there. So best practice in this case is to actually create an IsActive flag. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go back into the contact table. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate my tab. Okay, and I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to account settings, tables and fields. There's contact type right there. I'm going to add new field, and I'm just going to say a yes, no field, and I'm going to call this IsActive. Okay, and this is best practice for all of your drop downs. You should add this field as well along with the main value field. Because when you go ahead and you manage and you want to remove a value, you don't want to delete it. You just want to set it to IsActive equals no or false. Okay. That way you're not actually removing the value on previous records. Okay. So now I'm just going to refresh the screen because we added in that new field and we want to allow that field to show up within the grid builder. So I'm going to go to columns. I'm going to add IsActive here. Okay. And then for here, I'm just going to rename this to just say active. Okay. And then we're going to go to views. I'm going to just rename this to default. You don't really have to do anything here because we're hiding the view selector. But this is just something I'm used to doing. And then contact type, you'll notice this contact type and active here. I'm going to go back into contact type here and I'm just going to change it to we can just put a space here and say contact type like this. Okay. Now go to views, visible column, contact type. And then for sorting, I mean, you could sort it in alphabetical order. So you can just say contact type ascending, that's fine. And then selection criteria, you might need to use this, but in this video, we don't really need to add a selection criteria because we want to see all the contact types, whether they're active or inactive, okay? Now, with that being said, what we're gonna do now is, I think we're done here. I'm actually going to remove the show delete row column because again, we don't want to delete. We just want to set something as inactive. And I'm going to go ahead and click close. And then what I want to do as well, and this is just more of a design preference on my side. For drop-down screens where you're just going to manage a drop-down, you don't need to have a save button all the way on the right side of the screen. I like to actually keep the save button within the same column as the grid, but in a different section, okay? So what I'll do is, and this is completely preferential. Again, you don't need to follow being, exactly to a T, but this is something that I'm used to and what I like to do. So then I'm going to go here and I'm going to change this button to save and back. Okay. And then here, I'm going to make this width full because I wanted to expand the full length of the cell that is contained within the section. Okay. If I left it to auto, if I just change this to auto, it would just be a small button, and I actually kind of like the full size button. I think it's easier, more user friendly. So I'm just going to leave it to full. Okay. Now I'm going to go into this button and I'm going to put in a save action. And then I'm also going to call the back button. Now, the reason why I call the back button and I don't actually just add in a go to screen action here is because maybe you want to set like specific preferences within that go to screen action on the back button, and you want that to be reflected in the save and back. You're not going to be managing two areas any longer. You're basically leveraging your existing back button that you have on screen so that if you ever need to make any changes, you're only making changes in one place. You're not making changes across many places. That's why I love to use the call routine action, because it just makes things more efficient. Okay. So there we go. Now we're calling the back button. Now you could also add just a save button here if you wanted to. I just put save and back because usually it's just a one and done thing that you're going to be doing on the screen. Okay. Okay. So let's close this and let's see what this looks like in the front end. But before we do that, we actually need to go back into our contact screen. So this is our edit contact screen. You can see that because you can see it up in the tab up here. Okay. We're going to customize the edit contact screen. And in here, for us to access the screen now, this is very important, okay? And this might not be straightforward, but this is the last step in order for you to access this area. You're gonna go in here and you're gonna do two things. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go to your views option and you're gonna add a condition to only show you values where IsActive is equal to yes. Because again, if we ever want to manage and remove these values out of this dropdown, we don't want to see the values that we set to IsActive equals no or deactivated, right? So we only want to filter for the active values. And next thing we want to do is we want to go in here and we're going to click the custom row click action. And we're going to go to screen, all right? And then in here, we're going to go back to our screen that we just created within the Contacts app. So new and edit contact type, there it is. All right. Now we're not setting an active record ID for this because the table of the screen is the contact type table. We don't need to specify a specific value within the contact type table. We need to see all the values. So because of that, we're just going to click clear screen. If we only wanted to see a specific value and only manage one, like look at one value, then you say set active record ID. You'd grab the record ID of the specific contact type value that you want to see, and that's it. But that's not the way you would want to do it in this case. You'd want to see everything, and you'd want to have the ability to update and manage values across, manage all your values within your contact type dropdown. So this way, you're just going to say clear screen, okay? There's really nothing else we need to do here. We're just say go to, it's always best practice, always add your notes, always. So we're going to go to new edit contact type. Okay, then we're going to go over here. Last thing we're going to do is you're going to see now there is this custom row text field that just showed up because we added a custom row click action here. Custom row click is going to be a link within the dropdown that's going to take you to a specific screen. That link needs to have a name or a label to it. So because we added an action here, the system knows, okay, you need to also add in a label for your link. So the custom row text is going to be called new edit contact type. The same label as the name of your screen. We're going to hit save, hit close. Okay. Now we're finally going to be able to look at what we did on the front end of the screen. Now you'll notice when I open this, none of these values actually appeared because all of them by default, when you add a checkbox to a table, the default value is false. We want to make that active flag as true. And we added a filter to only look at true values, true active values. So that's why you're not seeing anything here. So this does remind me to do one last thing in order for us to see the values in the screen. So we're going to hit new edit contact type. And there we go. There are values. We're going to hit active for all of these. Okay. Hit save and back. But then there's one other thing. So now you see all the values here. I'm going to go back here. Also, if you click add contact type, you'll notice that the checkbox is not initially checked, but we do want it to be initially checked, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our grid builder. We'll go to columns, formatting, okay? Default value equals yes. This is what we're going to do under the general configuration option of your active column. You're going to set the default value to yes. That way you don't have to remember every single time to check off the active box, okay? So just go in here. Now look, now that checkbox is automatically active. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more contact types. So I'm going to say owner here. I'm going to say sales rep. I'm going to say service coordinator. Okay, these are all, I guess, titles that you can find in a company. And then the save and back button, I mean, if you wanted to, you can change the color of this. I'm just going to leave it as such, save and back right here. Okay. Now, if we go back here and we open this up, look, now you have this owner, sales rep, and service coordinator values there. So now they're added. You no longer need to bug a customizer if you're working with one to do it for you. You can actually go ahead and manage these values yourself each and every single time. And that is the best way to work in Method. Try to reduce your customization costs as much as possible. If there's something that could be managed on your end without you having to speak with a customizer, whether it's a Method partner or part of the Method professional services team, always try to do things yourself when it comes to, little tasks like this, because this is something that you can easily handle yourself. And that was the purpose of this video, is to help you guys in that sense. Now, one last thing, if I go back and let's just test this active flag now, right? So I'm going to remove all of these except for the accounting contact type. I'm going to hit save and back. If I open this up, there you go. Now you only see accounting. So that concludes the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a lot. I really hope you guys start building drop downs as well as managing them yourself. Now you know how to build the screen and manage it yourself. That way, that kind of limits your customization costs, and you can kind of handle these things on your own. If this video helped you immensely and gave you a lot of value, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe down below. I also have my contact information listed down below. If you ever want to get in touch with me, ask me any questions when it comes to customization and Method, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace!